In a modest 2-story home, nestled in the suburbs of West Maple Grove, there lived a cat named Biscuit. He was fluffy. He was orange. He had one permanently squinty eye and an unusually large left paw. He didn't know it, but these details made him objectively adorable to his humans, Hannah and Jeremy. They had adopted him from the shelter a year ago, under the impression that he was chill. And at first he was. He mostly laid around the house, stretched in sunbeams, hissed at the vacuum, and occasionally coughed up fur in places that made no sense, like inside the toaster. But everything changed one afternoon, after a fateful visit from the neighbors and their golden retriever, Tank. Tank was a jolly, over-friendly dog with the energy of a toddler who had eaten a bag of sugar and then been set loose at a playground. He barked a lot, panted heavily, and licked people's faces without consent. He also happened to be completely obsessed with Biscuit, though the feeling wasn't mutual. Tank had visited many times before, but this time was different. This time, for reasons unknown to man or veterinarian, Biscuit didn't hide behind the couch. He didn't arch his back or puff his tail. No, he followed Tank. He followed him everywhere. To the water bowl, to the back door, to the living room, where Tank wagged his tail violently enough to knock over 2 plants and a lamp. And then, as if something in Biscuit's ancient feline DNA cracked in half, he looked up at Tank, mimicked the wag with his tail, and let out a sound. It was not a meow. It was not a growl. It was a bark. It sounded like a broken bike horn being stepped on, but it was definitely a bark. Jeremy turned slowly from the kitchen. Did the cat just... Yep, Hannah replied, blinking. The cat just barked. Biscuit did it again. Tank wagged harder. Then Biscuit sprinted in circles around the living room, chasing absolutely nothing, tongue slightly hanging out, panting. "Oh my God," Hannah whispered. "He thinks he's a dog." The next day was chaos. Biscuit refused his usual cat food, unless it was served in a dog bowl. He dragged one of Jeremy's socks into the hallway and proudly dropped it at the front door. He started greeting the mailman at the window with a full-blown tail-wagging show and aggressive snorting. Worst of all, he began to sit by the door with a leash in his mouth. A leash. A pink one. Tank's actually, which he had somehow stolen and dragged through the doggy door. Jeremy stared at him. "We don't even own a leash for you." Biscuit sat and barked again. So, against all logic, they put the leash on him. Biscuit strutted outside with purpose. He didn't slink along the fence or leap onto car roofs like the other cats. No, he marched down the sidewalk like a good boy, stopping at fire hydrants, sniffing grass patches, and occasionally growling at squirrels. Within 3 days, the neighborhood had questions. "Is that a cat? Walking like a dog? Oh my gosh, he heals better than my lab. Wait, is he playing fetch?" Yes. Biscuit was now fully committed to his new identity. He would chase a ball down the hallway and bring it back. If they threw a slipper, he retrieved it. If they opened the front door, he didn't run. He sat and waited to be invited out. At the local dog park, things escalated. Jeremy took him there as a joke, thinking Biscuit would panic and hide. But Biscuit marched in like he was leading a parade. He approached a group of confused poodles and dropped a stick at their feet. He tried to join a game of tag with 2 German shepherds. He chased his tail in front of 12 witnesses, and when one Doberman barked at him, Biscuit barked back. It wasn't the same bark as before. It had evolved. Now it was deeper, more controlled, almost intimidating. "Your cat has better boundaries than my emotional support terrier," said one woman. "He might be a better dog than any of these dogs," muttered another. At home, things continued to spiral. Biscuit dug a hole in the backyard, Not a small scratch in the dirt kind of hole. No, a full body-sized excavation. Jeremy fell into it carrying groceries. Then came the howling. At 2 a.m. every night, Biscuit would climb onto the windowsill, stare into the darkness, and let out a long, mournful howl that echoed through the street like a cat who had been raised by wolves and was summoning his long-lost pack. The neighbors complained. The internet, however, loved it. Videos of Biscuit's behavior went viral. Dog-cat hybrid discovered in suburbs was trending. Biscuit had merchandise. A leash brand offered him a sponsorship. Animal behaviorists called him a fascinating case of feline imprinting and identity confusion. Jeremy called him a lunatic with too much power. But none of it mattered, because Biscuit was living his truth. He got excited when someone said, "Walk." He tried to bury bones in the couch cushions. He licked Hannah's hand when she cried during a sad movie. And one day, when a raccoon tried to steal garbage from the side of the house, Biscuit charged it like a guard dog. The raccoon fled. Jeremy rewound the security footage 7 times. "This cat is unhinged," he said proudly. Then came the final test. A new dog moved into the neighborhood, a massive husky named Diesel, who was the size of a small horse and had a bark that could be heard in 4 counties. Biscuit saw him from the front yard. He froze, ears up, tail stiff. Diesel stared back. And then, Biscuit ran full speed toward him. Jeremy panicked. He's gonna get flattened. But no. Biscuit stopped just short of Diesel, stared him down, and barked. Loud, sharp, confident. Diesel whined, backed up, and sat down. Biscuit strutted around him, victorious. At that point, Jeremy gave in completely. They bought Biscuit a custom dog tag. It read, "Biscuit, species, cat, mentally dog, return if found chasing mail truck." Biscuit, now fully integrated into the canine lifestyle, continued to amaze. He responded to, "Good boy." He learned how to shake paws. He stopped sleeping in weird places, and instead curled up at the foot of the bed like a loyal retriever. Every now and then, he would still do cat things. Knock a mug off the table, stare into a corner like he saw a ghost, climb a bookshelf for no reason. But mostly, Biscuit was the world's first full-time cat-dog hybrid, and he was proud of it. Because sometimes you're not the animal people expect you to be. Sometimes you chase balls instead of red dots. Sometimes you bark instead of meow. And sometimes you just dig a big hole and sit in it, because life is confusing, but dirt is eternal. And in the heart of one very fluffy, very strange cat, there lived the soul of a very good dog, and his name was Biscuit. If you love heartwarming animal stories, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more adorable adventures.